Hello everyone. So Blizzard started changing the map of Old Keltalas and they renamed it to Shadow of Azeroth. What is quite suspicious, right? So right now there's some speculations that we're maybe getting a Void expansion. And I've mentioned it previously. We have fought against like a lot of demons, but we have yet not seen too much of the Void. I mean, we did get like a little bit from like about the Void in BFA and stuff, right? But like a big Void expansion would be really cool. So yeah, let's have a look at all that we know so far and all those speculations.
So not only did we discover these Faceless One helmets in the new PTR build a few days ago, but Blizzard also started changing some stuff in the background, renaming a part of Keltalas known as the Shadow of Azeroth related to Void Elves. If you may remember, we had confirmed leaks with a lot less information, and this perfectly aligns with this prediction that this guy had who predicted BFA, Shadowlands, and even Dragonflight so many years ago, and he confirmed something with Yasharaj coming next, which is naturally a Void expansion. At the same time, we have a ton of hints of the Eastern Kingdoms getting a revamp with literal hundreds of new models constantly being added, and another side of Azeroth, which is quite literally Azeroth Shadow. So are we going to get the Shadow of Azeroth, a Void expansion that could not only be based on the Eastern Kingdoms, but it could be related to the other side of Azeroth, known as the Shadow of Azeroth? As MMORPG players, you guys have probably heard of Lineage 2, but Lineage 2 Essence was released a few years back to bring the best features to modern gaming, and they just released a super cool new update. They just released a new class assassin, members of the Secret Node organization available to male humans and female dark elves. Best of all, you can change your class.
Looks a bit like Diablo 2.
They got new cross-server territories, Kelvin's Fortress, Pagan Temple, Garden of Authority, and brand new 13 types of immortal weapons have been added into the game that not only have powerful attacks, but also special skills. The coolest thing about Lineage 2 Essence is, first of all, it is completely free to play, it has auto battle, and you got everything from crazy raids to large-scale castle sieges to pet trapping and recreational activities, but best of all, Essence is all about cross-server where players from all worlds meet. It's connected direct to the developer, meaning users have access to latest content first, and a new update is coming this summer. 4Game is the official publisher, meaning high-quality user support is guaranteed. Make sure to register using my link in the description below, and you will get a health cube from me personally, which will supply you with useful items for the next 30 days to speed up your leveling.
Interesting.
I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with this leak, but it is legit the most mind-blowing and craziest leak that we pretty much had since forever in Warcraft history. Generally, leaks are these random MMO champion threads where people just make random wish lists or bait. Most recently, we started getting AI-generated art, which gets a lot worse, and sometimes we do get
AI
some
is crazy these days.
Actual leaks from Blizzard, but this is very rare. However, this Chinese player literally managed to predict not one, not two, but 3 expansions like 7 years ago, which...
And you know what's like crazy? Like, this is the same when you look at freaking Dragonflight. Look, like, there were so many speculations, and a lot of people were saying there will be a new expansion, it would be called the Dragon Isles. And it wasn't called the Dragon Isles, but it was called Dragonflight. But some of those guesses were really accurate, and some people guessed at least half of it correct. And I was very surprised about this. And also, like, how the dragon aspects are returning. And someone actually said that maybe Ysera will come back, right? And she did. Ysera is back. And how did people know that like half year before the expansion already, right? So yeah, maybe there have actually been some leaks and people read those leaks. Maybe some employee leaked it, right? And then they actually made their own version out of a leak or something. Like, it could be, right? So yeah, that's why I'm thinking this Shadow of Azeroth, like this Void expansion, could also be legit.
Is insane and really far more than just a simple coincidence. I mean, it's still crazy.
Wouldn't be the first time someone guesses correct.
I have an entire video on his logic, but let me explain to you real quick, and then we can tie this in with the new evidence and how all of this makes sense. So his logic is actually pretty sound, and that is that Blizzard rehashes their previously successful expansions and just takes story threads out of them to make new ones, and each expansion, according to him, has 2 main storylines.
Yeah, I mean, there's a foundation already for it.
We got the Draenor expansion, Worlds of Draenor, and we got the Legion expansion, which were the 2 main storylines. From Wrath of the Lich King, he predicted successfully that we would get BFA from Old God storyline, and that we would get the Shadowlands from the Lich King storyline. Keep in mind, he didn't say the expansion would be named Shadowlands, but that we would go into the Shadowlands, which is super mind-blowing, seeing that he said this during Legion, so 5 years before the announcement, and seeing that no one could predict us going into the Shadowlands ever, it is really crazy. Then, from Cataclysm lore, he predicted that we will get a Dragon expansion and an Elemental expansion, that this will be 10 10.0 and 11.0, and once again he was completely right like 7 years ago. However, Blizzard...
But that is also logical. I mean, if you look at everything lore-wise that's in WoW, if there's anything that's not so fleshed out and where we only get like little pieces of lore, right? Like if you look at everything Void related with the old gods, like they're always like a minor role in an expansion and stuff often, right? And they're like on the side kind of, right? So there will be, of course, at some point an expansion where the old gods will be the core of the expansion. Like, that would just make sense, right? This is the same when we had, like, freaking TBC, right? Like, sure, there were, like, demons, and we got to meet, like, Illidan, all that stuff, right? But we already felt during, like, TBC that, like, the demons should come back and in, like, a more spotlight, right? And then Legion came in the future. And I'm pretty sure that TBC is the reason why we got Legion. So, wouldn't it make sense that, for example, BFA... because it has also something with like the old gods and stuff, is kind of like the backstory or some foundation for a future expansion called, I don't know, maybe Shadow of Azeroth by the name, or the Void or something. It just makes sense, right? It's logical, because there's potential there.
I would say actually combine both of these into Dragonflight, so we got the Dragon expansion with heavy elemental involvement and elemental storylines, so I really think his prediction is just one thing, like just Dragonflight. Now, next, his idea was that they would create a Horde in the Alliance 4 and the Shaman. Personally, I think he got this part wrong because it was really impossible to predict, because I don't think Blizzard ever actually intended to unite the factions, but they had to due to practical reasons and less people playing the game overall, so it would be easier for people to find groups. However, his other prediction could 100% be spot on, and what is a Sha line if not Yashiraj? And if we have anything, we have a ton of Old God and Yashiraj hints all over the place, even as far as Aberrus and the 7 random
maybe there's still some unknown ones.
Now, hold on to this thought and let us get to the new information that we have leaked literally 2 days ago that goes perfectly in line with it. So Blizzard all of a sudden in the new PTR just added these faceless one helmets for the priests, which you can of course definitely say, I mean, it doesn't really mean much. We got a lot of thematic hints, we even got these cool Ragnaros shoulder pads, and we get these hints all the time. However, keep in mind, we have literally predicted expansions with less information. Back in Worlds of Draenor, we have gotten a really strange cape from Taran Jungle that had the name Spellcloak of Suramar, which literally no one could predict at the time because we had no idea Suramar would be a large part of the next expansion. Now next down the line, we predicted Dragonflight with just a few Dragon Stormhounds we had gotten, and we only needed a few strings to discover the name Dragonflight, and that turned out to be the actual expansion name. However, this is only one part of the new information.
I'm sometimes wondering if Blizzard does this on purpose, that they give us like small, let's say, cake or breadcrumbs or something, right, to make us actually guess what could be in the future, right? Like when we had a look at like those Stormhounds, like with those freaking dragons and all that, and how it was themed, and also from the timing when they actually released it, because it was not far before they actually started with the main development of Dragonflight and all that, right? So this is also how like gaming companies operate. They often know like a few years before they actually work on something that they're gonna work on it next. Maybe there's like some secret file inside Blizzard where it says, okay, we have next on the list Shadow of Azeroth, the Void expansion. And now we are getting those helmets, right? Because they're trying to give us like hints. Like it could be like that's actually what I'm seeing these days from Blizzard. They always try to give us like a little bit of info, right? Like a little bit of information. We will guess what could be next, right? And we are often actually pretty correct with our guessing because of those hints.
The new information. In the new PTR, Blizzard decided to just randomly, out of a sudden, out of the blue, out of nowhere, update flag IDs, and we got some new strings that are seemingly unrelated to anything, especially anything related to Dragonflight and the current storyline. They just added a map called Void Elf, and it is called Shadow of Azeroth, and it refers to this little leftover area of Kortalas. Now, don't get me wrong, this area was relevant in the past with the Void Elves, but it's been a really crazy mystery ever since. I mean, they added this void crazy thing over it, and no one really knows why it looks
what's the backstory of it?
So it is just like chilling in this state. Now, to bring you up to speed, this is a tiny zone that has actually been in the game since Classic. There are some old elf buildings, night elven assets. Some people speculated that this is the place where the high elves made landfall when they came from Kalimdor, and before they developed their sophisticated architecture and they built Kortalas. In practical terms, this was actually a little leftover area where Blizzard scrapped adding Kortalas to Classic, and only maybe later they actually added it in TBC, but they left this little part here. Now, why I think this is actually relevant and why I'm even making this video is that for the past 2-3 years, we've been getting so many, and I mean so many hints of the northern eastern kingdoms being relevant, yet nothing is really happening, and the most popular expansion idea before Dragonflight was that something would be happening here. In order to not repeat myself, let's quickly sum up the major point. First, Stromgarde was literally rebuilt. It is only a matter of time before it becomes playable in the game. I mean, they officially confirmed this in the book. Undercity should have been rebuilt with a time skip. Plaguelands should have been mostly restored, and the Scourge almost entirely destroyed. We've had these Scarlet Crusade leaflets that still haven't led anywhere, and we just got hints from the new PTR about a new Scarlet Monastery, some revamps in this area. Blizzard seriously hinted that we will get Gilneas back through a...
I'm sure we get Gilneas as a capital city. Like, it would be such a waste to not give this to us. I mean, Gilneas City is just so... It's just so freaking huge. Like, I'm sorry. How can we not get Gilneas as another big city? Just like freaking Ironforge, for example. I really think we are getting this. And it's not just a city that we have for like the early quest line, like the starting quest line for the Worgen. But no, you can go there with any race and just walk through and visit shops and stuff. There will be a bank and all that. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to make it like a Stormwind 2.0 or something like that.
Hinted that we will get Gilneas back through a storyline, and there was a hint with Kali Manatil saying she will pull out the undead troops. Then, at the end of Shadowlands, we got this
They've agreed on it, haven't they?
Out of nowhere, Scourge incursion in Quotalas, unrelated to anything that has been going on, that strongly hints that the Blood Elves have almost entirely cleansed their lands and got rid of their influence, and on top of that, there has been a
the Paddy has a quest line that talks about the cleansing.
Furthermore, Quotalas is in a really sad state, to say the least. I mean, not only is it super outdated, and we've discovered like a literal ton of new Blood Elf assets in Dragonflight that were not even all added into the game, which strongly hints of a revamp, but you literally can't even fly in this zone in 2023. Now, recently, we learned that Dragon Knighting is coming to all continents, and this will be the perfect opportunity to actually fix this area. This could mean that Blizzard can fix this invisible wall.
You know what? People kept saying that Blizzard, please patch freaking Silvermoon City so we can fly there, because we can fly in other cities.
This could mean that Blizzard can fix this invisible wall between the Plaguelands and Quotalas, and naturally, they would have to address this little leftover part of Quotalas. However, let us get into the meat of the matter, and that is the super interesting name of the possible expansion called Shadow of Azeroth. I don't know about you, but to me, not only does this sound like a really good expansion name and like an actual expansion name, and definitely something Blizzard would make, but it also has incredibly interesting implications, and it could really go 2-3 really interesting themes like they would go with this. First of all, Shadow could naturally refer to the Void, Old Gods, Void Lords, Void Elves, everything really Void related. And if we have anything in Dragonflight, it is Void hints all over the Dragon Isles. I mean, we got more Void hints than we have the actual main storyline. We've been getting this new Cosmic Void stuff. Obviously, some big stuff with the Void is happening in the background. Recently, we got this Anshul, the Cosmic Wanderer, being relevant, maybe even related to...
Yeah, I don't think this is coincidence that they put so much Void-related things in. Like, it's just a clear sign that they definitely plan on doing something. The big question is only, like I said, there's definitely more potential, like lore-wise, story-wise, to add to WoW with the Void, right, and the Old Gods. The only question is, will this be the next expansion or the expansion after the next expansion? This is something we have to see.
To a loom. So yeah, Void stuff is relevant, and it could be a good expansion name related to this. Another interesting thing that people have noted is that Shadow of Azeroth could metaphorically refer to an actual shadow that is the other side of Azeroth. You probably heard about the speculation,
the Deadlands.
So I don't want to bother you on this.
No, we already have Shadowlands.
Really are endless on this front. I mean, recently we've pretty much gotten a confirmation that there is a 5th Old God, and that when the Titans ordered Azeroth, they had hid something beyond the waves as they couldn't order it, which could be the prison of this 5th Old God. Now, interestingly enough, in the original lore back in Classic, we've known that 5 Old Gods exist that Blizzard then retconned, and they said only 4 exist. And now, in Dragonflight, they brought in this old document from Classic. At the time, people were saying don't think too much into it, it is just a PTR, but it's been months now, it is actually in the official game.
I think it's legit.
I think it's pretty safe to assume that there is indeed a 5th Old God that we are yet to discover. This could be Zealotad, that her
there is no, like, there's no reason why there wouldn't be a 5th old god. There's no law that confirms there were just 4 old gods. Like, we never saw any evidence on how many old gods exist. Like, they can pull this off. Like, they can definitely add this.
God that we are yet to discover.
Like a 5th one.
Zealotad that herself has a million hints, or maybe something entirely
maybe
different.
Old God could have a son too, or something,
plus,
or daughter, or so,
Beyond
right?
Waves, there is a big
Who
hint
knows?
that this could
Maybe
be
they
related to a
can
new continent.
have
and
offspring.
All of you have probably heard of this little place called Avaloran that everyone has been talking about, where a rebel titan civilization lives on. At the same time, we've been getting all these hints of the Night Elven pirate that is only one in history to have actually ventured to the dark side of Azeroth, the hidden continent, and have returned. Now, personally, I don't think pirates themselves are that interesting of a team to be an entire expansion, but this could just be devised to get us there from point A to point B, and he could just lead us into this place. Keep in mind, this hidden continent is apparently west of Kalimdor. According to legend, no one aside from him has ever returned, and he just randomly came to the Dragon Isles to not do anything but to just give us this hint, which strongly indicates that this is indeed a hint for the next expansion. Furthermore, this side of Azeroth has been called the Dark Side, and we have the...
Like, that's the thing, why do they add such an NPC? And he has, like, no meaning for the future or something. I mean, sometimes there are in MMOs random NPCs, but he seems like an important character, right? So yeah, it could be possible.
And we have the Shadow of Azeroth, which obviously strongly correlates with this. On another note, the Shadow of Azeroth could also refer to the light and the void, where the void casts a shadow, or we have both of them. It could all be related. We have all these hints, Petralian.
Like, there are just so many options here.
Possibility with this popular speculation. Now, if this really is the case, how could this expansion play out? Well, with limited information, it is all hard to say, but I think Dragonflight is doing a really good job of actually foreshadowing this. I mean, we have strong hints of Queen Ashara returning from the Void Veil, which we've revealed from that document, which could indicate that the Naga could be relevant. We also have a ton of hints of the Eastern Kingdoms.
Maybe they want to be Night Elves again.
A 2-part expansion. We could get one part or one patch that starts out in the rebuilt and revamped Eastern Kingdoms, where we get new Gilneas, we get new Silvermoon, we get new Qualtalas, we get Stromgarde. We have a bunch of these local storylines that could even involve the Scarlet Crusade, and this will definitely happen. They're going to revamp a lot of old zones. I saw already their plans for the future. They have like this roadmap, and they are definitely getting back to old zones. Like, this has been 100% confirmed. All of this could potentially be related to building an actual fleet. I mean, think about it. Gilneas, Forsaken, the Blood Elves, even the Scarlet Crusade all have pretty big shipyards that could lead us into this continent. So the second and the main part of the storyline could lead us into the dark side of Azeroth, the Shadow of Azeroth, and the new continent. And this, if they do it like this, would be something an unprecedented expansion in itself, as we could get a smaller scale Cataclysm revamp on one continent, and we could go into another continent that we can explore. In terms of classes, an interesting idea that has been going around is Void Demon Hunters, where the Demon Hunters would get a Void spec and embrace the Void instead of Fel to get a new purpose. We could also get a bunch of new allied races,
new Demon Hunter spec.
Crusade, maybe rather humans, maybe even ogres. Of course, all of this is just
ogres, please.
Definitely something going on in the background with the Void, the Shadow of Azeroth, and a very likely revamp with all these new models and all these hints that we have been gathering throughout the years.
Nice.
Thank you for watching. Check out this Dragonflight. Really just
I actually think this could really happen, and I will say this again, and this is actually very clear if you look at like the old expansions. Each time there was a new expansion, we always had hints in game. They were adding like a lot of interesting NPCs that were kind of like not related to like the main plot, right? But they often gave hints, just like this one pirate guy right there, right? That went to some unexplored continent. And why would they add an NPC that went to an unexplored continent that we as players cannot visit if this continent doesn't play any role in the future? So this is to me very suspicious. Then those helmets with the old god theme, right? Then the fact that there could be a 5th old god, like, I don't see why there wouldn't be a Void expansion, and that they actually renamed old Keltalas to freaking the Shadow of Azeroth. So yeah, I definitely think it could be possible. What do you guys think? Do you think also that there will be a Void expansion? I'm positive there could be. The signs are pointing towards it. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. If you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. I'm sure there will be a Void expansion. Too many hints, and it has too much potential to not make anything to the Void. And yeah, it was always sidelined, the Void, basically. It was never really the main plot of an expansion. Some could say, yeah, okay, BFA was a bit stronger about the Void. But yeah, I mean, look at TBC. TBC is related to demons. And Liege is even deeper about demons. So if you look at BFA like a TBC from Legion, it could happen. But let's see. Yeah, I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.